Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget, you can catch us on Metropole TV, 8 to 9 p.m. every evening. But let me first of all start by how much I'm looking forward to hosting Professor Howard French at Mindspeak. Howard French is an author, a journalist, a professor. He's really multi-talented and has made his speciality China, Africa in particular, amongst other matters. Political reflections today, a former CIA chief will meet a former FSB chief in Russia's resort town of Sochi. Pompeo and Putin have studied each other's files. Now let's move on to the trade war. Asia-Pacific stocks were sent reeling on Tuesday in the wake of one of Wall Street's worst days this year, with investors spooked by further escalation in the US-China trade war. Chinese tariffs, which will be imposed on $60 billion of goods starting on June 2nd, will fall most heavily on products in which China already has an industrial surplus, from textiles to steel and chemicals. Stock markets declined. S&P tumbled 2.4%, Nasdaq shed 3.4%. Markets were rattled after Beijing delivered on a promise to raise tariffs in response to the US increasing duties on $200 billion of Chinese imports to 25% on Friday. The Trump administration later on Monday set in motion a plan to hit a further $300 billion in Chinese imports with 25% tariffs. Now LNG imports from the US will face a 25% tariff. In a no-deal scenario, Ms. Kjord said multiple rounds of tariff hikes on either side would more seriously affect inflation in the US and growth in China, where the annual rise in GDP could slow to 5.8%. And it's very much become a personalized context between the two. Neither will want to step down. Both know each other's Achilles heels, as it were. The Nasdaq closed down 3.4%. You can see from this chart from J.S. Blokland. And I take you back to October last year when I said the incident with the USS Decatur, where a Chinese warship came within 45 yards of the Decatur in the South China Sea, is surely a precursor. I was describing this as a chicky run and was asking who blinks first. I said the Chinese government has been quite surgical in its response and is targeting the farm economy in particular. And this is the chart of the day after China retaliates on US trade war. Soybean prices fall to close to the low point of the 2008-2009 global financial crisis. October, I was quoting, and I quoted this geopolitical contest will likely escalate dangerously. Powerful forces on both sides are driving the two world's strongest countries towards fully fledged confrontation. We're not there yet, but we're going in that direction. Now, Iran, we're not going to miscalculate. Our aim is not war, Secretary Pompeo told CNBC. Our aim is a change in the behavior of the Iranian leadership. Zero hedge. First it was the Gulf of Tonkin, now it's the Persian Gulf. This is regarding this attack or sabotage in the Fujairah port. Underlining the regional risk, the General Secretary of the Six-Nation Gulf Cooperation Council described the incident as a serious escalation. I wrote about this over the weekend in an article titled Babur William Dalrymple and Exactly What Iranian Threats. And in that, I was saying basically this level of financial and coercive sanction warfare is simply unprecedented. President Trump has been a big proponent of coercive financial and sanction warfare, and its expression vis-a-vis Iran is its apogee. Bishara of Al Jazeera wrote, these demands basically constitute total Iranian surrender, not only to the US, but also to Israel and Saudi Arabia. Badr Kumar says it's a lethal game of Russian roulette in international politics. This is it. I was saying the Iranians will surely manage to shutter the Straits of Hormuz even after an asymmetric fashion. I call this moment for Iran similar to the edge described by Hunter S. Thompson. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. I concluded by saying if the US thinks that Tehran will just roll over, notwithstanding that they are punch drunk after the sanction warfare, which appears to be the case, then I said they're exhibiting the same deluded ideas that they exhibited a day before the peacock throne got plucked. I concluded by saying Iran is a geopolitical bleeding edge.